Good evening.
Hi. You've been so much a part of my life, and I've never spoken to you. This is the first time I've ever come to a retreat.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, nice to meet you. What's your name?
Karen.
Karen. Nice to have you here.
I experienced an energetic awakening about 6 years ago, which is when your teachings came into my life, and they've been an anchor for me. You know, when I was falling off the cliff or when I was all puffed up, you were always the voice that sort of brought me back into balance. And I didn't really feel a need to come and see you, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a psychologist, and so, you know, during those years, everything that was coming up, I kind of knew the ground. You know, It was all personal and issues, and and the physical stuff was, you know, I just kind of got through it. So, but I'm here now. At the beginning of this year, I had another awakening, and I was in India, and I guess in your language you would call it an experience of oneness, but it definitely wasn't what I was expecting.
What would you call it in your experience, in your language?
Now I would call it oneness. But the thing is, what I expected of oneness was this sort of new agey, we're all one.
Oh, yeah.
Not we're one.
Yeah. Yeah. Not like we're all together and we're one because we're together, but just one. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, and I would have never thought that this would have been my reaction. I was disturbed. I was shocked.
Oh, it's not unusual, actually. The yummy oneness, the merging yumness, everybody likes that. But the oneness, it can be quite shocking.
And on my desk where I work, I have this rock with a quote by Ramana on it, and it says, "There are no others." And when I came home after being in India, I looked at that rock and I said, "Oh my God, I had no idea." I mean, really?
Yeah.
So that was the disturbing part. And then, you know, the good stuff came where I walked around for days just hugging myself. I mean, I really liked me. I mean, a lot. And
imagine that. You know? Yeah.
And the shock wore off about, you know, and the feeling that I had woken up in some sci-fi thing where I was the last person on Earth. I mean, that started to wear off. And I noticed when I started talking to people that I was just smiling so much, my cheeks hurt because I saw myself talking to me, basically.
Yes.
So then I came back, and almost immediately some huge piece of karmic just arose, and months wore on dealing with this thing. And so it's all kind of settled down now, but where I am right now is I'm in this place where I'm in a push-pull kind of a situation where there is that warrior part that's like further. I want to go further. But I can also feel that there's this part that's slamming on the brakes, that's going, this is about as weird as I want it to get. Okay. And so they're both sort of vying for attention, and meanwhile, it almost feels like I've chased it away. I mean, I know it's not true. I know that I didn't chase it away. It kind of shimmies back and forth.
Yeah.
It comes in and it comes out.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of fear now that's arising, a lot of fear. And I'm in a terrain that I don't recognize anymore, you know, whereas the energetic stuff I could deal with being a psychologist. I have no ground on which to deal with this kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know what to pay attention to.
Because it's not necessarily, even though, you know, stuff can arise, we could say, which, you know, psychological material can be dredged up at any moment, you never know when. but also essentially you're dealing with something that's not even of the psychological nature, right?
I don't know
it's
what
deeper
it
than that.
Yeah.
It's deeper.
Yes.
Right? It's other.
And the fear is uncomfortable, and I know intuitively it's to go into it, but that's not what's happening. What's happening is that I'm running.
Okay.
And I keep thinking that...
If I were you, I'd keep running.
Pretend it's not there.
Pretend it's not there and just keep running.
Yeah. Pretend it's not there. Have faith in God. That God is going to...
It's all okay.
Yeah,
keep
right.
running away. And just forget about the whole thing.
Well, because when I had the energetic awakening, I trusted in that process.
Yeah.
And that proved to be the right thing to do. I trusted it, and even when bad stuff came up, I always trusted it.
Yeah.
But I especially when I heard this story tonight, I realized that there might be something that's required of me now, but I don't know what to do. I don't know how to take that step.
It's not so much of a step forward as much as it is a step away from forward, a step back into stopping. See, there's a reason that I tell you, go ahead, run away from it and deny it and have faith it'll all happen someday anyway and all of that. I only tell you that because I know that all that is absolutely unsatisfactory to you. If given the choice, there's no way in heaven or hell that you're going to do that. Right? And by suggesting you do that, you see what I mean? It may highlight, it may bring a clarity inside where you realize, actually, these two different directions that I'm pulled in, actually, it's not true. I may be afraid, but it's not true that I don't want to go further. That's a lie I'm telling myself. I want to go further, but I'm afraid. That feels true to me. I want to go forward, but I really don't want to. That doesn't feel very true to me. You follow me? That's why it's almost always if you give somebody enough rope, they hang themselves with it, so it's all okay. And all of a sudden, oh, actually, no, I don't really want to keep running. Now, I can't give you a nice 2 or 3 step plan because this isn't a technique thing. You know what I mean? It's not really there's not a sophisticated or even useful process to do with this. It's because part of the whole awakening thing, really, right? It's shedding, consciously or unconsciously, willingly or unwillingly. It's shedding layers of self. The first are often conceptual and then emotional, and then they get deeper and deeper and deeper, and then you may have fear at any one of those, you may not, but eventually you get down to just sort of the most existential sense of self, right? That lives right down here, and it's just an irrational fist that says no. There's not even somebody there that has the fist. There's just the fist. There's just the no. There's just the pulling back. That's the seat. The deepest existential seat of self is just that. Right? And at a certain point, especially when you've had some deep realization, you would think you'd go, all that would be dealt with, But not necessarily. So realization will often bring to the surface the deepest grasping of the illusory self. And even though it's illusory, illusion sure can grasp, But that's what you get down to. Now what you're being asked to find inside of yourself, it is there, it's already there. But what you'll find in yourself is this grasp is basically no. No to life, no to death, no in every direction, really. Just holding, confused grasping. And the only thing that can really meet it is its opposite. Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to die. Yes. Okay. No, I mean really. I'm going to die. Okay. Today's a good day. If today is the hot day that my heart stops beating, this is about as good a day as any. Okay.
That's kind of showing up a lot, but it's a fear of physical death.
Yes, that's what I mean.
That I know is not true, and yet it's coming up quite a lot. Like to the point where I almost just say, all right, like just get it over with then. Like every plane I step on, every skip in my heart, I'm just totally convinced this is it. This is the end.
Yeah. Oh, good. You're getting very close. It's not, but you should be onto this. It's not the end you think.
Yeah.
It's not the one you have in mind. Yeah. It's more significant than that. Physical death is one thing. The death that's stalking you is something, it's the real thing. Physical death is kind of a rehearsal, This is a real thing. This is the real thing. It feels like the physical death, but because that's what you're running up against, right? The whole biological, physical organism, what is it evolved to do beyond all else? Survive. Right? Continue. That's its highest agenda, right? It's not the highest agenda of a human being. Anybody that's observed a little bit of life will see that. They'll know that lots of people will transcend the survival instinct at given moments. Happens all the time. All I can tell you is when you really find that yes to the no, to the death, it doesn't mean that you're not afraid. It means in spite of being afraid.
It feels like the yes is coming if for no other reason other than the fact that I'm just tired.
That'll do.
I'm just tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired of saying no. I'm tired of trying to keep everything together, basically.
Yeah.
And just tired.
Yeah.
And so...
exhaustion plays a significant role for many, many people in this.
Yeah.
Do you know? You do often. You just get too damn tired to say no anymore. It's just pure exhaustion. That'll work.
I think I came here to see you this time after so many years because I think that there's a part of me that didn't want to believe that this was real. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have thought that maybe you could have said to me, you're way off base,
I could have.
Yeah.
If you brought me something different.
Yeah.
If you were, I would have told you.
And so the thing is that there was fear both ways. Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
There's fear that I was just, a mad woman, and then there's a fear that I'm soon to be a dead woman, basically.
I like you. You know how to put it nice and plain and simple. That's it, right?
But I mean, the bottom line, though, is that there's just fear. I mean, it's a hell of a lot of fear.
Yes.
And I didn't really think that you would have a plan for me on how to deal with it. I mean, I kind of know that this is mine to deal with. But is intent enough? Is my intent for a yes? Is that enough? Or
follow through.
Yeah, follow through. I was afraid you were going to say that. What does that look like?
Let me just tell you a story. Because I don't know any other way to say it. Because I don't, the only reason I tell personal stories is because they take it all out of the world of abstraction. Yeah. And I think they make it a little homier. Not that this is particularly homey, but you know what I mean. But when I was going through this exact same place, I had it sort of all coalesced in one horrendous, moment. I happened to be meditating, and I had this just explosion of energy, and everything just was chaotic. the heart was racing like 300 beats a minute, way beyond its regular capacity. Breathing, panic, all the alarm bells were going off. And there I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I get this knowledge, this thought that comes into my head that I have absolute 100% conviction it's true. I know it's true. And it says, I'm going to die if this keeps going. And I said, all right. I didn't even say it. It came out of me. It almost surprised me. These words inside my mind came out and said, okay, if this is what it takes, if I have to die to find out what's on the other side of this, let's get it over with right now. It just came out of nowhere. That was the follow-through. That was at the critical moment actually meaning it. I don't think I could have prepared for that. Like I said, the words came out of me as a surprise, as it wasn't courageous. I wasn't courageous. I was scared out of my wits. But it just, looking back, I see that those words were a manifestation of the intention that had been there all along. All I needed to do was access it. And at that moment, I finally accessed it. That which was more important than the survival drive. It's why, from that point on, whenever I teach, I often say, to me, the true impulse towards enlightenment is an irrational impulse. It's not, because it's not about, will this make me really happy? Will this end up good? Will this give me eternal life? It's just, I just have to know. I don't know why I have to know. I have to know. And if I have to go through some death process to know, then I have to do that.
And the stabilization, the fact that I'm not stabilized, there's no stabilization in...
The death part is the biggest part of the whole stabilization.
Okay.
Because the thing where there's a lot of confusion around in spiritual circles is we mistake the insight, the sudden revelation of no separate self, which is, mind-boggling, just that, right? The realization, the aha, the my God, there wasn't another, there wasn't a separate self, there wasn't a little entity in here called me, however you want to put it. There's the insight of that, which is revelatory and has huge transformational impact, and life tends to not be the same after that. But the mistake is often that the realization of there being no separate self is the same as the separate self disappearing completely out of your system. You can realize it and then still have it. Like those birthday candles, those trick birthday candles, right? It can seem to be put out, but some sort of momentum is still there, right? It hasn't completely died. It died like the birthday candle gets blown out, and then right? And you never really unknow that. Right? The realization of no separate self is one thing. The actual disappearance of that grasp, that's what it is to die before you die, so you can truly live.
It doesn't disappear, but I will say one thing that was pretty funny was when I realized that all the dramas in my life, that I had played all the roles, I laughed for days over that.
Oh, especially from a psychologist's point of view. That must have been hilarious.
It really was. It really was. And I can't see patients anymore because I can't deal with the dramas. It's just I just can't.
Shot the old career in the foot, did it? It happens.
But
yeah.
But seeing that I played all the dramas, all the roles in the drama, even though the separate self is like the birthday candle, and I do get into things with people, but there's that memory that comes back that, oh my God, I'm standing here arguing with myself, and all of a sudden you just stop. You're right. you never do see life in the same way. But I'm definitely tripping over myself quite a lot.
But that's common.
I know.
I don't say that to provide comfort as much as just context.
Yeah.
And like I said, that a lot of that occurring without getting into any future ideas of any perfected state, because those are horrendously, they gum up the whole system a lot. So without getting into any of that, but it's just about the relinquishing deeper and deeper layers of self. And when you get down to sort of the existential layer, there isn't a layer under that. And something intuitive in you knows that. It knows when that one goes, the jig is really up. Now, like all the other things so many things about the spiritual you're unfolding, like you just said, even about the dramas you create, you will look back at this moment and go, wow, I really baked up a good one there, didn't I? I really scared myself about nothing. Because there was really actually nothing there to lose or to die or all this dramatic stuff. It's not really actually, there's really nothing to it. Do you know? It's like a sophisticated existential nightmare. But having said that, doesn't mean that you don't have to go through it. And you might as well take it as totally real, because to do otherwise would just be to sort of rip yourself off.
I already understand that conceptually, but, the body has other things, going on.
It certainly does.
And it's terrified.
Yeah.
So I don't have a choice. You're right. But I'm grateful for the clarification. Thank you.
All right. I wish you well. Yeah.